Have you ever wondered why?
When?
How much?
What if?
Well, you're in luck, because you're listening to the Hypotheticast.
3 best buds.
On a mission.
To ask all the questions?
And get all the answers.
I was born with both guns blazing, and I do think I'm amazing. You got the dignity to feel a little about yourself. I don't care what your preacher says. I got my own vicious ways. Only got one commandment, and it goes, I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
Welcome to the Hypotheticast. My name's David.
My name is Mike.
And my name is not Emily.
Whoa.
What?
Tell me who you are.
My name is Leslie, and I will be guesting on this podcast today.
That's the verb.
I was going to say guest starring, but I'm not a star, so then I changed my mind.
I think you're a star.
Yeah,
I think you're a star. The first time I ever saw you, it was literally you walking out on stage. It was in a show.
But
so
does that make me a star?
I think so.
Aw.
I think if you're introduced to someone on a stage, then I always
Yeah.
think of you now as being a stage presence first and then a person second. No.
Oh, good.
You're a wonderful person. Leslie actually also helped me get a job in an escape room,
That's
which is
true.
one of my ultimate dreams. So thank you
Yeah.
for helping me achieve one of my ultimate
Oh, you're
dreams.
welcome. I
Yeah.
wish that we could work together more.
I know.
But
yeah.
we work at different
Well,
locations.
now we're working together
Yeah.
on this podcast.
It's amazing.
Should we say a quick word? Emily is just not feeling super well, so that's
Yeah.
why Leslie has taken over.
Leslie, tell us in as many words as you like who you are and what you like and what you do.
I live here in the Twin Cities, and I'm part puzzle room employee and part actor singer. So sometimes I have a day job, and sometimes I go on stage and pretend I'm other characters and sing songs. And Emily and I have a singing duo called the Champagne Drops. We are partners in that duo. So that's kind of what I'm all about.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show. Well, what's our theme today? Our theme today is dating.
Yeah, you
Specifically.
knew what it was
I
before
knew
you
what
started
I
it
loved
thinking.
you thinking about it. That was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope the listeners could see my eyes searching the room for the answer.
It was good acting, I
Thank
think.
you. As not an actor, thank you. Have either of you ever been on a date?
One or two.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Everything. All spectrum of emotion was felt. Imminent terror, jubilation. That was the two, actually. Only those two.
I mean, those
That's
are
how
went
you
straight
felt.
from
far apart
straight
on
from
the
terror to
spectrum.
jubilation,
Yeah.
then back to terror, and then back to jubilation.
Yeah.
I've been on a couple dates. Have you been on a date, David?
Yeah, I sure have. I am currently dating a person who may be named in the course of the show and may
Hannah.
not. Well,
Her name is Hannah.
she just loves it when we say her name on the podcast.
Hannah.
Hannah.
But you've been on dates with her,
Yes.
and with other
And
people,
with other people.
at other times.
Yeah. Do you want me to rank them all?
No.
Please.
No. Okay, I guess so.
Leslie
Yeah.
wants it.
Let's do it. Yeah, Leslie wants it. Get out a poster board and
Yeah, our
make
first
a chart.
segment is David rates every date he's ever been on. Yeah, I actually haven't dated very many people. I've been on, plenty of dates, but I think I've had like 3 relationships, maybe 4, depending on what you count. Like
Can we talk about what that means? Like for the fourth
Yeah.
one, like are you saying it was a short amount
It was
of
a
time?
short one, yeah, and it was
Okay,
like we
yeah.
sort of DTR'd, but like
What's
not
DTR?
really like defined the relationship.
Glad you asked, because it
Oh.
sounds like it could be like a chemical pesticide.
I
Or
thought
a
it was like
smooth-
DTF. I was like, oh, man.
See, that's what's so interesting. You were like chemical pesticide. Makes sense. You love pesticide. Leslie was like talking about fucking. And then I thought if someone said DTR to me, I would think it was like Dance Dance Revolution, but like Dance Trance Revolution or something.
Oh yeah, trans.
Which so we're all very different people. That's great.
That is
I'm
great.
very
Yeah.
glad.
Yeah, I do love pesticides.
I love all pesticides.
Yeah, it's a wild world dating.
It is.
I've been on a ton of dates.
A ton. If we
Tons
weighed the
and
dates,
tons.
they would weigh more than a ton.
Yeah, probably like 50, 100.
Nice.
I don't know.
That's a lot.
But I haven't dated in a long time. I did recently get engaged.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I dated. But I do have so many bad dating stories that one of my plans is to turn it into a cabaret.
Oh,
where
wow.
I just tell
That's a
stories
great
of how many bad dates I've been on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
think there's an audience for that.
I think so,
really
too.
do. Yeah.
Especially because some stories you would not believe. but they are real and they are so sad, but they're not sad anymore because they're in the past.
Right. Could you give us one in like a sentence?
A sentence or
just like
or
a
two.
tease for your upcoming cabaret.
I can do a sentence and a half, I think.
Okay, sentence and a half is good.
So I met this guy and we started dating and we hung out all the time, like 3 to 4, 5 nights a week.
Wow.
For 9 months. And after 9 months, he ghosted me.
Just disappeared.
Yes.
After 9
After
months?
9 months. And I thought he died.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I thought he
for
died.
real. Yeah,
and
that's
I
what
got
I
him
mean.
close
That
to his
much.
friends. So I called his friends like, is he okay? And they were like, he's not going to date you anymore.
Wow.
And he ghosted me after
Not
9
even any
months.
good reason.
No, he was just like, I'm done. But I hope he's doing all right now.
Yeah, shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
So let's do our first segment. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think we should.
Yeah, okay.
I think we should.
Leslie,
Yes.
would you like to tell us what our first segment is?
Okay. Our first segment is Would You Rather? Okay, ready for the first one?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Would you rather date a superhero or a supervillain?
Oh my God.
Okay.
That question is from Lauren Deesh.
Nice.
Hey,
Nice.
Lauren.
Hey, Lauren. Let's see. Superhero or supervillains are often more stylish, a little bit more snazzy. I do think that a part of that is because a lot of the supervillains that I know have been queer coded. Which is, like Scar or Ursula, which is unfortunate, but it means they're cooler looking to me because I think they're rad and and they just so happen to want to kill people and steal their souls. But who doesn't want to do a little bit of that from time to time? So I guess it would depend if they were actively supervillaining.
Okay.
Like, if they're a serial killer, killing a bunch of people, no, I don't.
That's not a super villain.
that's not a super
serial
villain.
killer is just a serial killer. Not a super villain's got to have a snazzy costume,
Yeah.
plan to take
Okay.
over the world.
Yeah, see, but even that might be a problem.
Well,
for
that's
me.
the thing, David. If they're not
Yeah.
actively super villaining, are they a super villain?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great
That's
question.
a bigger question.
Then they're just a
Mike.
person with a big old castle on a mountain.
Which sounds great.
Yeah, but they're not a super villain, I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah. This is dangerous because I'm getting into the territory of dating someone to try to change them, and that's not good.
Ooh, that's not a
I don't
good
wanna
idea.
Do that. I think I'd probably have to say superhero just for my emotional health, because otherwise I'd get into trouble.
Honestly, I can't think of hardly any functional superhero or supervillain relationships.
Ooh.
Even especially supervillains, it's of course they're a villain, but superheroes they're
They can't have intimacy.
they're well, it's in the name. It's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
But superheroes often relationships are one of the first things to go. They're I got to put on my spider suit and go and save the world. Sorry, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Or the villain kidnaps you because you're the ordinary. This is a sneak plug for a book called The Refrigerator
plug.
Monologues, which is about it's
yeah.
it's fictional, but it's told from the perspective of a lot of actual based on the phenomenon of women in superhero stories often just being a trophy or a sideline, or they're never the main focus. And so this is told from their perspective and basically saying hey, we have stories too. We're people, and we want to be more than just the part of someone else's big story about being a hero. So, it's hard for superheroes to have a good relationship, even if they're not a villain.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which I'm not choosing either one there, but I'm just thinking. I'm trying to think of a functional relationship.
Yeah, that's tough.
Was the question date or
Yes.
just date?
Date. It was
just
So
date.
then you could just date him for a while.
Yeah.
Then I would totally date a supervillain.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But for a
Okay.
month.
Yeah.
Because it would be a wild ride, but it would be a bad long-term relationship because they're probably very self-obsessed and they probably will want to just monologue all the time. And I'm not.
I feel like they would prioritize work over their relationship.
Yeah, which is a problem.
Yeah.
I need, I have David time too. Work-life balance is very important. I don't think superheroes are very good at work-life balance either.
No, I don't think they
but
are.
maybe they're better at it than supervillains.
I would
don't think
definitely
so.
date a supervillain.
Yeah?
Yeah. I feel like the dates would just be better than dating a superhero.
Yeah.
You'd probably go to a fancier restaurant, maybe try some dangerous foods,
Ooh.
go in a fast car.
A fast car.
I just think that would be
I would
fun.
date Tracy Chapman.
Yeah, well-known superhero. Chapman.
Tracy Chapman.
Do you have a supervillain in mind that you would like a type or a specific one that you're thinking of?
I do, but I'm embarrassed to say it.
Oh, but then you have to say it.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Okay, I don't remember his name, but remember in Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
And then he has the Octo.
Dr. Octopus.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like going on a date with him in a fast car. In this
Yeah.
moment. That's
Yeah, in
what
his
I'm into.
octopus car.
Yeah. I think that'd be good. We can eat octopus.
I don't know if he would
that
want
be
to.
offensive? Yeah.
I know. He's a robot octopus. So
Yeah.
actual
I don't
He's
think
not an
he cares
actual
about
octopus.
probably still on the table.
I'd ask him. I wouldn't force him to do it if he didn't want to, but I'd
Hey,
probably
is this
order for
cool?
the table.
Like, is it cool if I order octopus?
Do you
I know
mind?
you've got this whole 8 arms thing going on. Just want to make sure.
Maybe he'd bring all 8 arms to the restaurant.
You can hold all courses in each arm.
Yeah, that would be
Yes.
kind of fun. You'd be like,
Here's the appetizer. Here's the mint. Here's the
Here's the
dessert.
mint.
he's holding a mint the whole
Yeah,
time.
that's just waiting up there. You're like, I'm so excited for that mint. I'm going to just join you guys because supervillains do have more fun, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really do.
They're less tortured about who they are. They're like, I'm a supervillain. Superheroes are like, am I doing the right thing?
Yes.
Should I let
That's a
my
good
relationships
point.
go?
Yeah.
Supervillains are like, yeah, I'm just going to go rob banks. You
Yeah,
can come
they,
with
they
or
know
not.
who they are.
Yeah.
They've figured it out and they're living.
We figured that one out, I think.
Yeah. Sure solved it.
we really nailed it.
You're welcome, Lauren.
Are you ready for a new question?
So
let's
ready.
do it.
Okay, this is more serious, so
Okay, put on my
watch out.
serious pants.
This is from Silas Coghill.
Yep.
Would you rather be the first one to say you love the other person or the second?
Or the third.
We are assuming a monogamous relationship. Oof. I mean, there's a selfish answer to this question.
Well, I am reminded of Roger Ebert's review of Meet Joe Black. Brad Pitt plays the living embodiment of death. So he talks about when someone says, I love you, it is not a statement, it is a question.
Sure. Oh,
and in
yeah.
that movie, he says that Brad Pitt seems to take someone saying I love you to him as a compliment rather than like a question of like, do you love me too?
Yeah.
But he's just like, cool, you love me. I'm Brad Pitt and I'm death.
And I'm dead.
So yeah, like if someone says I love you and you're not ready to say it back to them, then that is really tough.
Yeah.
So I think I would rather be the first person.
Right.
And that way, like if I do say it and they're not ready to say it back, at least like I'm not put in the position of being like, I don't know.
Right, then the
I know
onus
how
is on
I
you.
feel. It's tough not to hear it back from someone. But
Right.
if you really like are in a good relationship, you're like, all right, well, you know, this is how I feel. Because when you do say that to someone, like it is kind of like, let's talk about where we're at.
Yeah, it almost always comes with an automatic check-in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now we're saying this. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's DTR.
It is DTR. Yeah. Hey.
I learned.
DTL, down to
DTL.
love.
Down to
Oh, that's so cute. That's
Down
so
to
cute.
love. So wholesome.
So yeah, that's the position I would rather be in, is the one to say it first, and then maybe it hurts a little bit not to hear it back. But
Yeah. But either you know where you're at now, or you know you've been honest, and if they're like, you know what, I don't love you back, and I never will, then well, you got the truth.
that would
So
be the worst
that's
thing to hear.
But like,
after
at least
saying,
you
"I love
got there. You know, it just seems better to be the first one.
Yeah.
But I think Mike convinced me with
Oh,
that.
good.
Because at first I was like, it's easier to be the second one because then you get to decide like what you want to do. But I actually think that pressure is worse.
Yeah.
Because once you have it off your chest and you just say, I love you, then like you're good. You've said your thing and now they have to do their thing. I think I compare it a lot to playing first at a concert. I always want to be first. I want to be the opening band because that way you play and then it's over and then you can just relax and enjoy the rest of the night. I feel like that's what saying I love you first is like.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I'd rather be the first one.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be the second one because then you get to hear it. You're like, yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, I get to do whatever I want now.
Yeah. Or you're just like, someone loves me.
Right.
Cool.
Without me telling them that I loved them, they said it to me.
They said
so
it
that probably
first.
feels pretty good.
The first time someone told me they loved me, I was on the phone and I was just talking. And then I don't know why I said this, but I was like, I like you. And they were like, I love you too. And I was like, oh,
Whoa.
but I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. And then I never addressed it. And then we just started saying, I love you. And I was like,
Oh no.
like that's so awkward because they maybe just misheard you.
I think they just
and then it just
misheard
turned
me.
into this whole, we're at this new level because of the phone glitching when I was trying to say something.
yeah. And I don't know. I just wanted to let them know I liked them, you know, like,
Which is good.
I like you.
If you're the first person to say it, one way you could make it a less awkward situation is just to like say it and immediately run away so they don't have to respond.
I
Just
think
be like,
that's a great idea.
I love you. Think about it and I'll get back to you later. Bye.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to worry about like, should I say it? Like then they can just be like, oh, they're gone now. I don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
That's true. And
Just
I
run
love it
away.
when people say things to me and then run away.
Yeah, I think that's preferable.
Yeah. It makes things better for everyone.
I love the image in my mind for some reason is like jogging past their house while they're like sitting on their porch.
Sure.
And you're just like, hey, I love you. And you just like keep jogging, let them think about it. And then you jog back around the block and you're like, hey, what do you think?
That's all the time you give him is one lap around the block?
I would give him more.
I'm a pretty slow jogger. So
it might be like
20 minutes.
Yeah.
You ready for another one?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, this one's from Scott Pacaditis. During a first date, would you rather rip an earth-shattering fart or spill a hot beverage all over your lap?
Oh, my lap. Ooh, okay. Rip an earth-shattering fart.
The earth has been shattered.
Yeah, you have
torn asunder.
Or spill a hot beverage on your lap. I guess the hot doesn't mean like boiling or like deadly, I assume.
Yeah, I don't think you'd die, but I think you'd get some serious injuries.
I might get some injuries. Yeah, it's no good. I don't want that. But I also don't want the earth to be shattered by my body. If we go with the euphemistic version of earth shattering.
Not literal.
Yeah, not literally.
I think that was the intention, was the euphemistic one. Although,
I think I would go with that one because it's a great story, no matter what. Like, farts are funny. I'm sorry. They really are. And you got to own them because you're going to fart in front of that person many times if this date goes well, which maybe it won't if you fart real bad and then they're like, farts are disgusting. I'm out of here. And you're like, it never would have worked. Bye. I fart all the time. Bodies do that. And they're going to have to hear it. So it might as well be in a really public place where you can tell a funny story about it later.
I think it would depend on where the date is. Because like if you're at a quiet restaurant, that's going to be different than like if you're at a bowling alley.
Where everybody's farting. Bowling alleys are full of farts.
Well, it makes the ball go a little faster.
The sound of the ball like hitting the pins kind of sound. You could cover a fart.
Maybe if you're watching fireworks, you could just sneak a fart in and they wouldn't know.
Exactly. You could sneak it in.
The best part is that you think you're going to sneak it in, but then the sound is delayed from the light. And so the one goes up and you're like, yes, perfect. And then... and then blam, and everybody heard, and it was terrible. It's so embarrassing.
What a fart says is that it's gross, but also like we do have some control over those usually.
Sure do.
You can be like, I'm going to go run to the bathroom or whatever. But tipping a beverage over is like being clumsy. Like if you fart in front of your date and they don't know who you are, they might be like, oh, like this is a gross person. They didn't even wait to fart until they weren't around me. I don't even know who they are. But if you tip something over, that's like they're clumsy. Like that's not being gross. That's just like a mistake.
Yeah.
And I feel like they'd be more willing to be like, oh man, that's so awkward. It's still kind of embarrassing. But a fart seems like maybe it was like partially intentional, like they're just kind of being gross. Is this how they are all the time?
Yeah.
There's the I love you level of relationship, and there's the I will fart in front of you, and that is a higher tier. I think almost.
I think that's definitely a higher tier.
Like I think most people will say I love you way before they'll fart in front of someone.
Not me.
Well, I know you won't, David, but you're David.
I am. That's very true. No, I think farting in front of people is like not that big of a deal, and I think saying I love you to someone is way bigger of a deal.
I'm engaged, and I will not fart in front of my fiance. That is so real.
I'll fart in front of your fiance.
She'll love it. Or she won't. I don't know.
It's hard to know until I try. Yeah, I know some people are definitely like more guarded about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would rather get like 10 hot beverages spilled in my lap. I would just like keep them coming.
People.
It's fine. Yes.
Yeah, as long as it wouldn't permanently hurt me. Like I do think like that's just like clumsy and embarrassing.
I don't think it's going to permanently hurt you. I just think it's like a hot cup of coffee. It happens in the movies all the time.
Yeah, and movies always go good.
Yeah.
Movies always go good.
Well, let's transition into our next segment. This one is called The Meat. This is the part of the show where we talk about one hypothetical question in more depth. It's not necessarily more serious, but it is longer. This week, I am the meat handler, and I am asking you a question. It is, if you had to design a dating app, what would it be?
Wow.
Take it however far you want or however specific you want.
That's a tough one.
You know how on Spotify it makes those playlists for you?
Yeah.
And it's like uncanny. It's like, oh, this is all of the music I like.
Yes.
And organized in a way that I find pleasing.
Yes.
And it's like really weird. Let's just go ahead and lean into the fact that everything that you do is being watched at all the time. Like you talk about something on your phone conversation and it shows up in a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
Like you listen to something on Spotify and then a YouTube commercial plays for that thing.
Yep.
Instead of like us pretending that that's not happening, like let's just make a dating app. Like specifically I think of Spotify because it very clearly has all this pretty personal, like the music you listen to like says a lot about you. Like I don't need to date someone with the same musical tastes as me, but I often find a lot of the dating apps, and I'm like on 4 different apps right now, just because I was like, New Year, let's just download them all and try them out.
Tell us the names.
Bumble, which if I think most people know Bumble now, but it was made by women. Women and men just say if they're going to match, and then if they do match, the woman has to make the first move. And then if she doesn't, she's like, no, this guy actually looks creepy. Then you just never get to message them. Basically like Tinder, but with more control put in the woman's hands. Coffee Meets Bagel, also designed by women.
Coffee Meets
that
Bagel.
one, I think the original algorithm like went into your Facebook contacts and saw people that were friends of yours, and were like, okay. But now I think it's more random than that because I don't know. But it gives you at noon every day. It sends you like a certain amount of matches, and then you decide whether or not you want to match with them, and then they get those matches later. And then if you both say yes, then you can talk for a week, and then if you don't talk within the week, then that shuts down. So there's a whole. It's like it's very complicated.
Yeah, that's a lot of steps.
There's Hinge, kind of like sees people that you might know through other people you know. You actually comment on a like part of their profile, like on like something they said, like, oh, you like that I like pizza. Cool, me too. I don't know.
I also like that I like pizza.
Yeah, and then there's one I just found out about called Happen, which is spelled HAPPN, and it's literally just like when you're in the proximity of someone, it'll like show up that like, oh, you guys crossed paths at this place, and it's like a radius, so it's not like super specific, so you can't stalk them, hopefully. No, it's actually designed so that you can't, but there's some people it'll be like, you crossed paths 5 times, and usually it's like, I've noticed it's like when I'm stuck in traffic or something, so it's not like I actually like live close to them. But yeah, so that's what that one uses. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, so that's what's out there now. A little glimpse.
Yeah,
I think that I would like one. It looks at what you like watch on Netflix, what you watch on Spotify, and then it connects you. Because I heard that one of the biggest on OkCupid, they said one of the biggest questions that they could ask that would determine a successful match or not was, do you like watching horror movies? And if you both did, like that was good. If you both didn't, that was good. But I mean, it seems, I mean, who knows? They said this was true. I don't know how much research was put into this, but it makes sense to me.
They do a lot of data stuff though. It makes sense. OkCupid, so maybe. Yeah.
There's all this data to mine. Like, let's put it in service of a dating app, you know? I mean, it could definitely get very Orwellian and weird, but like, I feel like it's hard to explain yourself on these things. You usually have like 200 characters to write about yourself. Like, there's a wealth of data about there. How about you just like connect that and we'll see. It doesn't have to be like, we all like the exact same things, but it would be somewhere to start. You know, it's like somewhere to have a conversation about more than just like a selection of 5 pictures and like a 3-sentence bio, which is usually what all of these apps, like that's really what it comes down to. Is just that.
Like for a little while, Tinder allowed you to sync up your Spotify.
It does, but I don't think the matches are based. It just shows what the people match.
So you're
with.
saying you want it to like match based on that. Yeah,
okay,
like that.
Today, here's 5 matches who all love They Might Be Giants, just like you. And
I'd be like, awesome.
I'd be like, okay, we can talk about that. And literally, we may not have other things in common, but that's like a common ground.
There'll still be a good conversation about your favorite band.
You watched all of Mystery Science Theater in one day. Like, you should talk to each other about that.
Like, are you okay? It matched you with going outside.
Yeah, right.
That actually does sound like a good idea, both like habit wise, like, okay, clearly you watch a lot of this, but also like this specifically, you're really into this show, so is this person. Talk about it, maybe you'll hit it off.
What could be cute is if you match that with the Happen app, so it's like you both are watching this at the same time. Like, you should watch it together.
Yeah, just they're literally across the street. Just bring a pizza over.
Bring a pizza. They love pizza. It says on their profile.
Yeah, we watch their shopping. Like, we know what ice cream they like.
Oh, that's so
bring
scary.
them this.
That's so
but the thing is, you guys, that's scary, but we literally are like a flip of the switch away from that. Like,
but you're just suggesting that we flip the switch.
I say we do it. Let's just throw all that data in there into the mix and like see what comes out of that.
That's great. Yeah, I'd sign up. What's it called?
What's it called?
I was thinking it was called like Big Brother or something, but then I was like, no, that's like weird and familial.
Yeah.
Big person.
I would not sign up for a dating app called
are you a big person?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a name that wouldn't be creepy, like the Watcher.
I want to design one that's called Down to Love. DTL.
Yeah, DTL.
I think that's a great name. I think we could make that app happen for sure.
It's a good app name, which is a good place to start.
But I don't have any other thoughts on what that app does.
Well, you'd have a built-in hashtag.
Yeah, and you could do like a cute graphic like DTL.
And you know how Tinder has like swipe left, swipe right, like that thing? Swiping down would be good. because
Oh,
it's
'cause
like
you're
down to love. Exactly.
love.
So you're like swiping them into your life because
Yes, I love that.
And up is get out of here, like get off my plate.
Yeah, why do they do left and right? I don't know. It's not very intuitive.
Society is right-hand biased, I think, and that's probably why.
You're right. Yeah, left-handed people are still viewed as witches.
Yeah. Basically, when you swipe left, you're saying you're a witch, is what you're saying.
What if down to love connected to your heart rate somehow? And so, like, when you're with a person, it would like read like, oh, your heart is beating faster. Like,
I think that's a good idea. Like you wear a little Fitbit and then it tells you like your heart's beating.
Little Fitbit.
You're either having a major heart episode or you're in love with this
I was going to
person.
say, like, or they're really afraid because some online dates don't go super well.
Yeah.
But,
also be awkward if your heart rate was up and then the other person's wasn't, but like there's data to show that. You're like, it's not you. It's just my heart. It's slow.
I just have a slow heart.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm just really chill all the time.
Yeah, I'm really stoned, so it's just it's that's all it is.
Heart rates are hard.
Yeah, heart
What do
rates.
they
I don't
even
know if they
mean?
can measure love.
I don't. Yeah, but maybe.
But we don't know.
I mean,
have we tried it?
Yeah, there's already a billion apps. We might as well do that one.
And so many of the apps seem so similar. I think we should try something that no one else has done, which is biometrics.
Yeah.
Watch there be an
or
app.
your brain waves. Like they can look at brains, right?
Yeah. So you just like go on a date and you have like a machine. It's telling you. Someone's explaining it as you're on the date.
Yeah, they can like tell you if they're a psychopath or not.
Honestly,
can,
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Would you really?
Yeah, well, mostly because I just want to know what's going on in my brain.
Sure.
So, like, if I get that for free because I go on a date, great.
Compiler. That's what mine is called. It compiles all the data
but
about
LR,
you.
not LER.
Yeah, it's always shortened. I don't. That doesn't sound very romantic.
Compiler. No, it really does. It sounds
really
like
That sounds like
doesn't.
you're dating a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. I got to think about this more.
I wonder if you do like compilover.
Compile lover.
It sounds like you love pie, which is true.
Compile lover.
That's a different app.
Very much
It's just
so.
people who love pie, which is honestly a good idea
That
for
could be
an
a
app.
good way to meet people
also be
too,
a
like
good way.
your shared interests in pies or desserts.
I have an idea that was born of a joke, but it's a real idea, and I actually think it would be really fun. It fulfills one need specifically that is not actually dating related for me, which is musicians collaborating with each other. I think that it would be really cool to have a dating app. Maybe this exists, to be fair. There are a lot of dating apps. But I want one, I don't know what it's called yet, but we'll figure it out. Maybe it's called like INTUNE. That might be good. Where you make a profile and, you know, it's like a 200-word dating profile or whatever, but you also say the instruments that you play and the kind of music that you want to make. And then you are matched with other people that want to make that music as well, that also are single and might be ready to do some smooching. But if not, that's also okay because you've still like found a bandmate that you can hang out with and play music with. And then if you make out, that's great. And if not, that's great too. And you're still making some tunes. That's what I want. One, because I feel like there isn't really a good place to meet musicians besides regular organic networking, where you mention that you play guitar and someone's like, oh yeah, I actually know that these people need a guitarist, and that works out. But like there isn't a good dating app for musicians, and I feel like there should be. Maybe Harmony.
Wait, what was the first name again?
INTUNE.
INTUNE. Yeah, not bad. Harmony might be better, and then I can eliminate vowels, and that could be good.
But then eHarmony might sue you.
Oh yeah, eHarmony.
They'll get you.
Yeah.
I'll name it Harmony, but about music. That's the whole name.
Neil Clark Warren is watching.
No, yeah, eHarmony already exists. I
like
can't do
the
that.
idea
Match.com. That's what I'll call it.
No. I like the idea that you could have maybe on the app, you have it open and it makes like a sound and it shows the waveform. And then like the closer you get to someone, like those tunes, it plays a tune on your phone.
That you're being watched all the time.
It comes, but when you come closer, like those tunes start playing together.
Yeah.
And so like, you're like, oh, we could make a beautiful song together.
We could make a beautiful song together because your phone's always playing a tone, which sounds great.
Yeah.
When you're walking around.
Yeah, it's like a
that sounds
tuning
cool.
fork. You just like you turn it on and you gotta find the person
I
that
do
it
like the
matches
idea
with.
that everyone is on this app and they're all walking around and everyone has a frequency, and the closer you get to someone, whether it harmonizes or it's dissonant, that's how you know whether you'd be a good match for them or not. It's pretty advanced technology, Mike.
Okay, what if my app was called All About Us? Is that good?
Sure.
Are you guys laughing because it's good or bad?
It's good. It's kind of creepy, but it's good.
Well, they're always good. I think there's no way to avoid the creepiness of an app
All
that's
about
literally
us.
everything that you are. Your whole presence is just put into this app.
No, I mean, it's honestly a better name than coffee meets bagel. Like,
that's
what does that even
I don't know what that means.
That one's weird because
most garbage names for everyone ever been.
Everyone on the app is referred to as bagels. Because I remember I told Emily about this, and she's like, "Are women coffee and men are bagels, or like what's the?"
Yeah, that's a great question.
But really, I think it's meant to be that we're all bagels meeting over coffee, which in case it should be called bagels meet
bagel
over
meets
coffee.
Bagel.
We're all bagels. It should be called.
we're all bagels.
I don't know.
So everyone's a bagel?
Yeah, well, you're referred to, like, you literally will say, like, which bagel do you like today? Or, like, you can spend money to get more coffee beans, which you can buy extra bagels with. I'm not lying.
No, I know.
I'm not lying. That's real.
Why?
All About Us is great. It has that. It has a TV show vibe.
Yeah.
Where like there's a little bit of romance to it, which works. It works though because it makes me think. Oh, I can envision a year from now where we talk about All About Us and how nice it is that we met on this app. It's a very it has a very wholesome feel to it, which I like.
Great.
I think you should go for it.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, here I go.
It is going to be very expensive. You're going to have to pay. A lot of the technology that you're talking about is not cheap.
Well, I think we'd promote, like, there'd be a lot of ads from all the things we're taking the stuff from.
That's a good
so we
idea.
could just cross-promote with all that.
Mm-hmm. That's actually very smart.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hulu ads would be great.
Like, you're literally watching a Hulu ad, or you and your date are together watching Hulu, and then it's like there's a focused ad specifically focused for just the two of you. It's like, hey, Mike and date.
It doesn't fill their name in because they don't have a Facebook
date
profile.
name here. Like, oh, this app is glitching, but then it's like a picture of us or something. That'd be really strange, actually.
A picture of you from like an hour ago when
I've
you're
gone
like,
too far.
we didn't
I've
take
gone
this
too
picture.
far. This is going to be real weird. This is a segment called Would You Blank It? And we come up with a different premise every week. We put a different word into that blank. We've done Would You Eat It? Would you, I don't know, be haunted by it? Mm-hmm. Would you open it? We go back and forth, two of us, with the person we present it to, and then they have to decide whether or not they'd accept that situation. We just keep going, making it better or worse or just weirder until we reach an equilibrium or we just stop talking. Leslie here is our special guest.
Oh, no.
And so we're going to present a situation to her. And of course, because our episode is about dating,
sure is.
We're going to do Would You Date It?
Okay.
And you might be like, hey, like, you can't date it. Like, that's not how you refer to people, right? You don't just say, hey,
you refer to them as bagels, so who knows anymore?
I don't. But I thought, hey, let's just go with it. I think we should do Would You Date It, as in Pennywise, the dancing clown. so we're going to try to convince you that this is a good idea. So let me present this situation to you. So you're engaged now, but let's pretend you're back in your dating years. Let's say you're on an app. You're on an app, a classic one, let's say just Tinder or something like that. And you see Pennywise on the app. And they've got their bio like, hey, I'm a supernatural being. I eat children. And you accidentally swipe right on Pennywise.
Okay.
Because I don't know, maybe you're just as a joke, or you're like, oh, that's crazy. Like, who would be Pennywise on this app? Like, that's crazy. And then you end up matching and you get a chat from Pennywise that just says, hey. And you're like, oh, okay. So you respond, you're just like, hey, what's going on? And then they're just like, oh, just being Pennywise the dancing clown, doing my thing, hanging out in Derry's the town, right? Derry, Maine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's say you're still on the East Coast too.
Okay, yeah.
So you still live on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So Derry, Maine is not as far away.
Sure.
Feasibly, you could go on a date with Pennywise if you got on the subway or train or something. I don't know how to get to Maine.
I think you were just driving a car.
Drive a car. Anyway, so you start chatting a little bit, and that's kind of where you're at. Do you want to take this further, or do you just want to never talk to Pennywise?
Okay, so here's where you lost me.
Okay.
If Pennywise starts with, hey, no. If you're the sexiest person, no, I don't start with, hey. But if Pennywise laid down some good lines, I would go on a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there was like some good questions and we were having a good conversation, which I think Pennywise would be a good conversationalist.
Mm-hmm. Probably. Had a lot of interesting experiences.
Yeah. And, kind of a good vibe in terms of word choice, I feel. I would go on a date.
So it's not the fact that he's a supernatural clown that wants to devour souls. It's the fact that he had a bad opener on the app. Okay.
I mean, I'm willing to give anyone a chance.
That's good. Not into it just yet.
Yeah. You were a little bit turned off by the hay, and you're like, okay, this is boring. But you were like, well, I'll chat anyway.
Yeah.
And he starts to. We're just gonna make this very meta. He starts to give you a bunch of dating would you rathers that are pretty good. Like they're very well crafted. It's clear that he's thought a lot about this, that he has a lot of ideas about dating, and that he wants to engage you on some kind of an intellectual level. One of them, of course, is would you rather be forever bonded to your mate physically and spiritually, or only be able to travel around in a sewer? And so it's stuff that, really, really weird stuff, but interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
After a few of them have happened, he then says, like, do you want to meet up? I'm going to be in your town soon. Do you want to meet up?
Yeah, I'll meet up.
Yeah, you'll meet up?
Yeah, because now the conversation's like intellectual. Mm-hmm. I'm probably having a good time. Yeah. Even if it's weird, like I kind of dig that. So I'm like, I'd meet up for a date. Okay, so we haven't gone on a date, but he's gonna come to me.
He's coming to you.
All right, that's cool because then I don't have to take the subway or the train or the car to get to Dairy Maine. So cool.
Yeah, I think he can probably like teleport, right?
I don't think he can teleport.
I don't think that's. I think he can maybe fold space and time around him.
So that's kind of like teleporting.
If he can teleport, why does he travel by sewer?
It's a good question.
I think because it's scarier.
And he just wants to be scary.
Yeah.
The thing we often forget about Pennywise is that his true form is like an extra dimensional spider crab thing, and he doesn't always look like a clown, but because he wants to look like everyone's worst fear, he just looks like a clown.
Oh,
because apparently that's scarier than a giant interdimensional spider.
Yeah.
Really?
So I can kind of like pick my own version of him if I want.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah, like you just like, I'm really scared of handsome people, really beautiful people. So you're gonna meet up. He's coming to you.
Cool.
You're gonna meet up.
He's coming to me.
Okay.
Is he planning the date or am I planning the date?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, that's what's up next.
Okay,
great. He's like, okay, all right, let's meet up. I'll be in town on business. He says, let's meet up at. It's a super fancy restaurant. Super fancy.
Sweet.
So whatever your preferred method of fancy restaurant is. Like it's a really good choice. Like
cool.
you're glad he came through, didn't just put it on you to pick a good place.
Yeah.
It's like a one that's at the top of a big tower and it rotates around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See that? Yeah. See that to me is the pinnacle of a restaurant. If it moves, like that's what makes it really nice.
I've never been to a moving restaurant, so I'm in. Yeah.
There's one in Duluth, you guys.
Oh yeah.
You can go.
Really?
Yeah.
It's literally
I forgot about
within your grasp.
Let's go.
So it's like that, but it's fancier because it's on the East Coast.
Ooh.
And
that makes it fancy.
So you show up and you sit down. He arrives after you.
Okay.
He shows up. But he is clearly a being that lives in the sewer. Like he is in full like dirty clown costume.
He comes to the restaurant dressed
That's
as
how
that?
he's dressed. That's what he looks like most of the time. And he wants to scare not just you, but he's designed to scare everyone in the restaurant too. He wants to look like their worst fear, which happens to be a dirty sewer clown.
Oh no.
So did he want to take me on the date or did he want to scare me? Or both?
Maybe both.
I think it's a little column A, a little column B.
Into that.
So you're sitting at the table. He shows up. He's clearly like excited, but he does look like a horrifying sewer clown. So
sewer clown as a classification of clown is just my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Well, he came all that way. But the restaurant's really fancy.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Cleaned up. Okay, here's the question about Pennywise, though. How much does it take for him to change? Like, could he go to the bathroom and clean up? Like, fold space and time? Doon. Now he looks nice? Or am I like stuck with this all night?
I feel like he could change if he wanted to.
It's
but
on
it
him.
seems like he just hasn't either thought of it or he thinks it's just scary. Or
maybe he thinks that he's being sexy, but he's actually
he doesn't really
terrible.
understand human conventions, I think.
Sure.
Thing. Yeah.
He just thinks you're supposed to scare people when you go out. Like that's just like his default.
Like dating it seems like it's kind of new for him. Like he doesn't understand like the etiquette of it. Like, I don't know, should I offer to pay? Like, do we split? Like, what should I do?
He's scared too.
Yeah.
Dating is his worst fear.
Oh, like I'm his worst fear. Oh.
No, not you. It's just dating.
The situation is awkward for him. Are you going to turn tail and run or are you going to like give him a chance?
No, I'd give him a chance, but I'd be like, hey, like, well, first we haven't met in person, so I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you.
Okay, quick question: do you hug, handshake, or just kind of wave?
Well, is he? Well, I wouldn't just kind of wave.
Because he's like across the room.
Hey. Is he wet or is he just dirty?
He's not wet. He's just
like
kinda,
he didn't just come from the sewer.
No, he did dry out at least.
Okay.
He's dry.
If he's dry, I'll give him a hug.
Okay.
Like a light hug, not like a firm hug,
Yeah.
but like a hug, you know.
Yeah.
And then I would try to maybe insinuate like there's a bathroom. You should, you know, if you want to clean up a little bit. And I'd be like, go to the bathroom. I'm going to order some wine because I'm assuming he's paying for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes me a
he's
terrible
probably pretty
person.
rich, right?
Well, I don't know.
I guess we'll find out. Wait, so you are gonna continue with the date?
Yeah.
This is affirmative,
but with some
pretty
heavy
cool.
implications that, like, hey, maybe you could look a little bit nicer in this, because you picked a nice restaurant,
right?
Like, let's look around.
And maybe
you.
I'm trying to like guide him a little bit, like, hey, maybe you don't know this, but like you should be clean.
If you want to go on dates with human people, like you should follow these conventions.
Yeah. Kind of like Beauty and the Beast, right? Like I'm teaching him.
Oh yeah, there could be a montage. Okay, so
David just got so excited.
There is a montage.
Okay.
You order soup for the first course, and of course, you know, he just like absorbs it into his body, and you're like, whoa, that's gonna scare everybody. Don't do that. And as the night goes, you know, you got a bunch of shots of you teaching him how to use a fork, and you have a very good intimate conversation. He is very vulnerable with you and talks a lot about how he's scared to, you know, date people because usually he just destroys them or eats them, and it's a lot to learn, and he's very thankful that you've been so welcoming. It's going really well, and you've been sitting there for like 2 hours having a great conversation, real connection. And then he says, okay, I gotta be honest with you. He's also cleaned up. He's nice looking now.
Combed his hair.
Yeah,
down.
he combed his hair.
Oh, cute.
And he says, okay, I have to be honest with you. This is going really good. You know that waiter that we have? I need to eat him. Like, I've never felt so strongly I need to eat this waiter, but just one waiter, and then we can continue with the date. We can do whatever we want, but I gotta consume this man.
Oh God.
Would you continue with the date?
I don't think I can continue with the date. But here's what I might do.
Okay.
I feel like for Pennywise, maybe he needs to date like another supernatural being. So like maybe I can find some other like supernatural beings. Like I might be like, okay, so I don't know that this is going to work out, but we could be friends.
Yeah.
Like eat the waiter. I don't know. I don't really know him, but we could be friends, but I don't know if I could date you because I can't go through this like repeated times.
No, every time you go out, he's eating people.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know
good.
if I could deal with that, but I could be like, okay, who are some other like supernatural? Maybe we could find you a nice one.
A nice one.
I can't think of any right now.
Like a cool banshee
Bride
or
of
something.
Pennywise.
Yeah. Because how come Pennywise doesn't have a counterpart?
Yeah, I think we just invented a sequel to it.
What would it be called? It's Bride of It. Its wife.
Its wife. Its wife. It's a wonderful wife.
It's wonderful wife.
So I think that's how I might have to leave it. I'd be like, I can't take you home. Because like, what if he's like, I have to eat you. I'm so hungry.
Right, because it might come to that.
So maybe we can make an app for like supernatural beings to date, like to find each other. Like you cross paths in the sewer or like.
Yeah. You like tick the boxes of what you're interested in. Like, are you from another dimension? Like, are you an undead thing?
Yeah.
Like, are you, you're an ancient, like primordial god.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you only
like
come out at night?
There's lots of different levels.
Right. And you need to find someone who's compatible with you.
Right. Yeah, because if you're a ghost and you really want to do ghost stuff, you can't date a skeleton.
I think it.
You
don't
think
think
it
it could work
I don't know,
out?
David.
I don't know, yeah, maybe that's an offensive take.
Yeah,
I think ghosts and skeletons
is.
can do whatever
I think
they
it
want.
really could because the ghost has no corporeal form and the bones are probably like,
It could be a good team.
and I could do stuff that the ghost can't do and the ghost can go places the skeleton can't go.
Wow, what a marriage.
So it's at this point on this date that so you have all this conversation with Pennywise. You're like, look, like I can't get down with the consuming waiters thing, but I think there's someone out there for you. And it's at this point that the table adjacent to you someone turns around and, hey, look, it's Stephen King. And he's like, I've inserted myself into this story like I like to do in a lot of my works. And I've been trying to find a sequel to it for a long time. And I think you can help me write it, Leslie. And so I've heard all of your ideas. So can you sit down with me and co-write a sequel to my famous book, It? We'll call it It's Wonderful Life. I love the title. And I think you can sketch it out for me.
I would definitely. I mean, how could you say no?
Yeah.
Stephen King.
Yeah.
And It's going to come too. You're doing a double date. You, Stephen King, It, and then you're going to have to find someone else
for It.
It's part of the casting process for the
That's really the
we have to
tricky
cast
part.
the wife, and then we can write about it based on her. I don't know if I'd like to be with Stephen King while he was writing it. He seems like he's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It feels like he's a lot of stamina.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd get tired.
Yeah.
So I might go for like the meetings, like here's how I would do plot, and then I would just kind of like
You'd be
leave.
like consultant.
Yeah.
But not like
consultant.
actually right next to Stephen King
No.
that would be overwhelming.
But I would take part of the profits.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell
you
yeah.
definitely
Of course.
deserve it.
'Cause
And
you
I
made
think
it.
you should campaign to be above him, like by Leslie Vincent and Stephen King.
But his name's really small.
The next segment that we do here on the Hypotheticast is called If I Were You, where we talk about a little thing that we like, and then we would go and experience it if we were you. It can be anything that you want to talk about.
One of my coworkers recently asked me for good first date ideas or second date ideas because they are dating, and they were like, "Hey, where should I go? What should we do?" And I was like, "Yo, I got you." Especially right now, the Como Zoo, specifically the Como Conservatory, is such a great place to go on a date. So whether you're dating and you're just looking for first date ideas, or you're in a very long-term relationship, doesn't matter. You just want to go on a friend date, that's legit too. Please do that. The Como Conservatory is a great place to go. It's in St. Paul. It's winter. They've got ferns. They've got spice plants. They've got a sloth in there. There's a lot of cool fish and stuff. It's very warm and humid. It's a real taste of summer in the midwinter, and it's perfect. So I suggest going on a date in the Como Conservatory.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I was also thinking about date recommendations,
Nice.
and I recommend going on a bookstore date where you go to a bookstore. The dinner date is good, but it does put a lot of pressure on, like, you just have to talk and talk, and it can be hard. Like, I rarely talk to someone for hours on end, like, in my life. It's nice to have another thing to kind of focus on. Like, we can look at books that we like, but I like to go to, like, a casual atmosphere place. I don't know. I don't like the sensory overload of like a loud bar sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's okay sometimes for meeting up, but like I like a chill place like a bookstore where there's a lot of stuff that you could potentially talk about, but also just kind of soak in the glory of books.
I've been going to this place the past couple Mondays that if I were you, I would check out. They're only open on Mondays, but it's called The Break Room. It's in the Machine Shop. So on Monday nights, the Machine Shop opens up this little bar and restaurant, and each week the menu is different, but the food is so good, and the cocktails are so good. It's like not a loud bar. It's like a really intimate place, only a couple of tables. It's very quiet. Oh, I wish I could go every Monday. That's my dream.
That's the dream.
I like that it's so exclusive.
The Break Room.
Wow.
So if you're not sure what to do on a date, there's 3 ideas for you. Just do all those. Not at
all
once.
3 on the same date.
Well, you could.
You could.
It'd be pretty wild.
Listeners, hey, if you want to find us on the internet, you can find us all sorts of different places. We're on Twitter at Hypotheticast. We're on Facebook at Hypotheticast. We are also on Facebook in a different way. We have a Facebook group, which is called the Hypotheticast Fan Collaboratory. And that is where we post calls for submissions. We encourage you to post hypothetical things that you think of or see online. It's a much better sort of forum for us to interact with people, and it's a real good time. So get in there if you haven't already been invited. We also have a Gmail. You can email us questions or thoughts at hypotheticast@gmail.com. And you can go to our website, hypotheticast.club.
We also love it if you spread the word about us by leaving a review on iTunes or any podcast app that lets you leave a review. We recently got a review from user Merdman458 who says, "The Hypotheticast is a magical adventure for your ears. I love the chemistry of these 3 best buds. I can't wait to see what themes they come up with in the future and what weird places they will take me to. I listen to this podcast all the time, like when I unload my dishwasher and stuff." Something they're doing a lot of.
Yeah.
Or drive places. Just beautiful, pure friendship and fun questions. Based on who my answers most align with, I would say I'm probably a David/Emily. Heart. So specifically, they're not Mike.
You.
they're 2/3 of this podcast, not Mike. But actually, I like David. When I read this, David was like, he liked that people are thinking of themselves as which hypotheticast person am I most like?
Yeah, that's fun.
We're developing a quiz in partnership with BuzzFeed for you to take real soon. So look for that. Talk about us to friends too. Write a review. Talk about us. Share and interact on Facebook with us. We love to hear from you.
Thank you to Jaden James and The Hunger for their song Killin' It. It's from their album Raw. And thank you to Christian Hagen for our logo. If you are so desperate and so thirsty for this beautiful content, you can find us early every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on Radio 5 Watt. It's an internet radio station that streams 24 hours a day. It is associated with 5 Watt Coffee. It is an internet radio station. They play a ton of local music, and now they have podcasts, and we're one of the first ones. So you can find us there Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. if you want to listen live before the episode actually goes up. It's radio5watt.org.
Leslie, it's been a delight to have you.
Aww.
If people want to come and see more of you, is there anything coming up that they could come and watch?
Well, I'll be at the Warming House on the 13th of February with Keith Hovis and Peter Morrow, who are both beautiful music makers. So we'll be doing a night of original music there at the Warming House. And then, I'm on the internet too. If you ever want to find me, my name is Leslie Vincent.
On the internet.
You can always look me up.
For our last segment, we have something called No Questions Asked, where Leslie has selected a question for us, which we will answer and then discuss no further.
This question comes to us from Joe Holm. Would you rather date someone who wore a different mascot costume every date and you never ever saw their face? Or someone who always sweated like they were wearing a mascot costume and never wore deodorant or other forms of scent control?
Wow.
Wearing the mascot
costume. Wearing it. Right. Not sweating like it. Wearing it.
Sweating like it.
Oh, okay, thanks a lot.
Bye. Have a nice
have
time.
good dates.
I'm marching, marching, 'cause I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
Did Batman have a pet?
A bat. A little bit. He kept it in his pocket.
A little bat. Batty from Fern Gully.
Oh, I would definitely watch that movie.
Robin Williams is just in Batman's pocket. Hey.